Good evening, class. Welcome on in, Hardcore Hunter, Morrow, Kwai, Chibi Kaneko. You are right. This is one of the games in the SNK collection. However, can you name which one? I will give you a hint. It's not a genre SNK was very well known for, but it had releases both on the NES and later on the Game Boy Color, if that's a bit of a hint. Yep, you got it. You get a gold star. Good job. That's one I'm considering playing on stream coming up. Oh, you're just a second late, Hardcore Hunter. Know what? You can both have one. We'll double star it today. But how's everybody doing? Hope you had a great weekend. I know I did. Busy weekend. I think this is the first time I've streamed maybe both Saturday and Sunday in quite a while. And we're going to be busy this week too, because we've got a lot of fun stuff planned. Lots of retro, and then we will be getting further into Sunlust. Yes, hello, cat. Come on, come on. Sorry. You both get it. You both get it. The capitalization is bonus points, however. But I hope everybody's doing well. I'm actually pretty excited for tonight's game, which is the Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout on the NES, because this is a game I never played as a kid. It's one of those games that you just kind of see everywhere, even today. You know, even at game stores nowadays, you know, you'll just see this, you know, $5-10 hanging around on the, you know, retro shelves for NES. And it's one that, ever since the Angry Video Game Nerd episode about it, probably, I think that was like 2006 or 2007, ever since then I've always been curious, you know, is it as bad? Is it really all that bad as James makes it out to be? So I figured, you know, this could be a fun little, you know, series going through games that were notorious for their coverage on AVGN. Sorry, just checking on my cat. He is right behind me. But I thought it might be fun, you know, go through some of the games that are mostly known for their lack of quality and see, you know, are they really all that bad? But like we usually do, to get started, let's go through the manual. You know, it might be full of helpful tips and tricks that will see us through the game successfully. Yeah, there is something a lot of fun about playing bad games, Panis. Also, good to see you. Also, I don't even know if it's that bad. I've played about the first level and it seemed fine. It seems like a game, you know, very average more than anything. But let's go through the manual and let's see, you know, is this as good? Is it good? Is it bad? Can I beat it? These are the important questions. I'm not saying AVGN is a hack frog. Hello, HVIT0. Also, if I'm saying your name wrong, let me know. Also, good to see you, Gondola. Not saying he's a fraud, just that, you know, maybe James is just bad at games. I don't know. Though I love that episode because of the just all-out brawl with Bugs Bunny, just beating him up. But let's see the story. It's Bugs Bunny's 50th birthday and a grand celebration has been planned by his fan club. However, his fellow Looney Tune pals are jealous of all the attention that Bugs is receiving. After all, no one has ever given such parties in their honor. It's up to you to guide Bugs to his birthday celebration. To do so, you'll have to avoid the other Looney Tune characters and the contraptions they have unleashed to prevent Bugs from reaching the party. I mean, that's not wrong, Hardcore Hunter. Let's see, names of controller parts and operating instructions. That's not interesting. Let's zoom in a bit, because I'm blind and can't read. So the control pad. Used to move Bugs Bunny. Use the up and down directions to help Bugs climb ladders. Use the down direction to enter the boulder wells, etc. Select. Used to pause the game. Start. Used to start the game and pause the game. So both start and select pause. That's interesting, I suppose. A. Used to make Bugs jump and start each round. B button. Used to swing the hammer. Hello, Hellforge. How are you doing tonight? And then starting the game. When the screen appears, press start to begin the game. Read the next few screens to find out about the party. Press the A or B button to go for the next screen. The objective. Well, I'm glad I got it, HVitter0. If I'm seeing it right. You begin the game with 3 lives. I'm doing pretty well. I just got home, like, barely 20 minutes ago from a nice evening walk, so I'm feeling great. Your goal is to help Bugs reach the birthday party. To do so, you must avoid or eliminate the other Looney Tune characters and the contraptions. I like how they call the enemies a contraption. To eliminate a contraption, press the B button to swing the hammer when you are facing the contraption and close enough to hit it. If you are caught by one of the contraptions, you will be stunned for a short time. While stunned, you cannot use the hammer. If you are caught 12 times, you will lose a life. That's pretty forgiving. The status of your current life is indicated by 3 hearts in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Each heart starts out red, turns white, then black, then clear when you are caught by one of the characters or contraptions. So essentially each part is split into 4 pieces. Makes sense? I guess. I don't know why they wouldn't just depict it that way. Yeah, me and the boys about to kill some contraptions with our hammers. You can also lose a life by falling off the screen. Fortunately, you can obtain an additional heart by hitting the fireball with the hammer and picking up the heart that it leaves behind. This is easiest to do if you jump on top of the fireball contraption and then hit it. I don't know why, but them referring to everything as contraptions is really making me laugh. Just like, you couldn't say enemy, you couldn't say bad guy, they're contraptions. Contraptions set upon you by the other Looney Tune characters, which just seems like... I know that we have to go through a lot of kind of contrivances, and there's a lot we have to accept as the kind of baseline, you know, setting for a video game, but this one is stretching it, even for the NES. Sometimes you may find useful... Okay, they got the grammar a little weird here. Sometimes you may find useful to hide behind some of the large plants you encounter. Along the way, you should pick up as many carrots as possible. The number of carrots you have picked up is shown in the upper left corner of the screen. The more carrots you have at the end of a round, the more chances you have to earn extra lives during the bonus bingo round. When you arrive at the bonus bingo round, you can choose 5 numbers by pressing the A button. Line up enough numbers and you can get extra lives. Fancy that. Then controlling Bugs Bunny. I feel like they told us this already, but use the left and right directions on the control pad to move Bugs. You can use the up and down directions to help Bugs climb up and down ladders. Press the A button to make Bugs jump. The longer you hold down the A button, the higher Bugs will jump. Self-explanatory. Using the hammer. The hammer is useful for eliminating contraptions. To use the hammer, face in the desired direction and press the B button. The hammer is also useful when you encounter things like a seesaw. Yeah, if there's a character named Useful, you gotta hide. You can use the seesaw to jump higher than you would normally be able. To use the seesaw, stand on one end and strike the other end with the hammer. Using the boulder wells. The boulder wells are the entrances to secret passageways. Well, they're not so secret if you've just told me now, are they? To use these passageways, wait for the deadly boulders to disappear, then jump into the well. Next, press the down direction on the control pad and you will appear in another area. A guide to the contraptions. These are killing me. And these aren't like... excuse me. These aren't things that I see in Looney Tunes. Yeah, it's a... standard 2D side-scroller Hellforge. Very typical of the NES era. But we've got the Comet, the Boulder Well, the Evil Soapbox and Bubble, red, Fireball, Ghost, Good Soapbox, gray, Jumping Telescopic Bullet Sprinkler, Malicious Mallet, Poisonous Frog, Walking Time Bomb, Spring-Loaded Weight, and Stoplight Worm. I've watched a lot of Looney Tunes in my days. I don't recall any of these. And then these are just our FCC regulations. Gotta say, pretty disappointing game manual overall. Not very... For something that's based on Looney Tunes, it doesn't have a lot of comedic value to it. But let's bring out the TV. Let's get the game pulled up. I did test it out. I made sure the game is working and my NES is working. So we should be in good shape for the rest of the night. So let's get into it. This is the Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout. And as always, let me know if it's too loud, too quiet. Happy birthday, Bugs! It's Bugs Bunny's 50th birthday. He has been invited to a huge party in his honor. Bugs receives a party invitation. I will say, it's kind of nice to have... little cutscenes like this. Because even though, I think this game was 1990 or 91, it wasn't uncommon. A bug bun in the oven. Hey, Variable Goo, how's it going? It wasn't uncommon at this point to have cutscenes in your NES games, but it still wasn't the expectation that a video game would have cutscenes. Ninja Gaiden had only come out a year earlier or so. And that was kind of the big one that, really set the trend. Bugs Bunny was born in 1940. Hey, Nanara. So I didn't have this game. This is one I only picked up recently, but it's one that you always see all over store shelves all the time, even today. Any retro game store, there will be a copy of this somewhere. But I was inspired by revisiting The Angry Video Game Nerd and seeing, you know, that classic Bugs Bunny episode. It's like, is this game, as James would say, a shitload of fuck? Or is it okay? You know, I've got to see. It reads, Happy birthday, Bugs! As members of your fan club, it is our pleasure to request your presence as the honored guest at the spectacular Bugs Bunny birthday blowout. However, his fellow Looney Tunes pals are very unhappy about this party. Yeah, James would never be hyperbolic. He's known for his level-headed takes and honesty. Nobody's ever given parties in their honor. Why does Bugs get so much attention? Wile E. Coyote asks. He and the others are so mad that they try to prevent Bugs from reaching his own birthday party. Well, what jerks? Be better. Maybe people will like you as much as Bugs. Bugs must now make his way to the party very cautiously to avoid all those crazy characters. And their contraptions, apparently, as laid out in the game's manual. So here we are. Now, I've played the first level before just to make sure this works, and the first thing that you immediately notice is that the game runs kind of really choppily, like it's not smooth at all in the scrolling or the animation. Bugs is a jerk. However, one neat thing about this game, when you pick up a carrot, you can now jump on top of the, where the carrot used to be. Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. You know, Tails Gets Trolled is a masterwork, and I'm only half kidding. I'm amazed by it. I actually bought you can buy it in physical book form now on Amazon. Yeah, we gotta hit the contraptions with our hammer. Which, their hitboxes seem quite large. So that's the evil soap box, because I guess soap is our enemy. I guess Bugs doesn't like, cleanliness. I think that just makes us go a little faster. Now, you can take advantage of the way the platforms work here to create new platforms, basically. Oh, I want that heart, please. Can I not? Oh, I can't pick it up because it's hidden by a bush, I guess. Because that makes sense. Okay, this sound isn't getting, annoying at all. For the power-up. Now, I believe the carrots just act as points, essentially. Right? Well, it's because they're the, you know, second in command, basically, that they can, you know, you can experiment with those characters. Well, that can break. It's just throwing enemies all over the place, isn't it? And I guess you can hide in these bushes, because I can't attack when I'm standing in the bush, but the enemy also can't hurt me. Interesting. Yeah, Sonic? I mean, spikes were, you know, like, the video game thing. Yeah. Yeah, give me the soap lore. Okay, there's our... Hello, Cheechin. There's our seesaw. That's kind of neat, I guess. Yeah. Is Bugs Bunny a self-insert? Oh, it's rabbit season. Yeah, just like my visual novels. And to end the level, you don't actually have to fight the bosses, you just need to grab the big carrot. So far, you know, yeah, what's up, Doc? I can't do a good Bugs. Yes, a Bugs Bunny game. There are actually several on the NES. Yeah, no, this was a real... Okay, we got a 1-up. There's no strategy here, we're just gambling in the bonus round. But I suppose picking up carrots is what gets us entry to this bonus round here. So we got an extra life. Let's see, nice things. The music is okay so far. Despite the kind of jerky animation. The control is pretty responsive feeling, even if hitboxes feel a little funky. I don't know. So far, it seems just like a game, you know? Like, it's the kind of game that, as a kid, you would maybe rent it for a weekend. Oh, that... Hardcore Hunter, that's a really, really good joke. Oh, okay, I guess we're going down here now. Yeah, it does have a little bit of a Mario 2 style to it visually. Only if Mario 2 didn't run well. So now these boulder wells I can go into, apparently. Can I break boulders with my hammer? Or do I just kind of exist? Getting stunned and not being able to swing your hammer is pretty annoying feeling, though. Okay, those enemies are just going to keep coming, I guess. Well, I'm just going to keep going through the level straight forward, left to right, and see what I can see. Yeah, we play a small Chungus, good lord. Hey, foes. I hope you're having a wonderful evening as well. Oh, yeah, I'm sure this was featured on plenty of those, you know, dodgy, you know, 201 carts that would be sold by, like, that sketchy guy down at the flea market kind of thing. I think, yep, we've got another boss fight with the Tweety Bird here, who just bashed him with a hammer. That's one way to solve your problems, Bugs. Just violence. Go to the bonus round? Sure. I really hope there's another bonus round. Right? You don't really get that with modern systems. No one is selling a, you know, 301 PS5 game compilation disc. Stage 1, round 3. How many rounds are there per stage? I don't actually know. So hold on. I keep seeming to somehow end up a little off-centered. Give me a second, class. Reorient myself a bit. There. I think that's a little... Nope, it's happening again. That's a little better. Oh, there were so many, like, weird... That would be a great stream sometime, Pan. It's just like the wild world of Famiclones. You know, and all the crazy stuff that, you know, pirates tried to pass off as real products. I never had any, like, Famiclone-type stuff. I never... You know, I was in a market well served by the official NES. The US was very well served by that. You know, we never needed to resort to that because, you know, it's not like other parts of the world where there was no official distribution or, you know, like, trade agreements and whatever made it prohibitively expensive to play, you know, non-pirated games. Because that's the case for a lot of the world where, you know, whatever trade agreements are in place, taxes on things like video games are so insanely high that they make them, you know, completely out of the reach of normal people. Polystation. That's a classic one. I just love the ones that they, like, you know, they're dressing them up to look like, you know, a PlayStation. And it clearly just plays pirate, like, bootleg Famicom carts. There's something really fun about the amount of, like, gall it takes to do that as a pirate. Actually, I would love to get my hands on some of the more notorious, like, bootleg games from over the years. Like, there's, NES versions of, like, Final Fantasy VII. There's an NES version of Zelda Minish Cap that apparently plays like a turn-based RPG, not like, you know, a real Zelda game. So there's just no shortage of weird and interesting... Wow, these levels are not hard. There's no shortage of weird bootleg games to play. Alright, give me a good bonus. Oh, Izumikyo. I have... Oh, was there a fix? Yeah, it doesn't look that bad. It looks like that one had a lot of effort. Or like Somari, you know, is another classic one. Izumikyo, I do have one plug and play that I picked up because it was too ridiculous looking not to. Because it's shaped like Shenron from Dragon Ball Z, and you plug it in and it plays some absolutely terrible, like, really sketchy, like, Dragon Ball pixel art games. Maybe I'll do a stream for that some night, because that would be really fun to look at, and I'm pretty sure my capture device would be able to accommodate it. Let's see. I don't think I can make that jump. I'm not even gonna try. Oh, this is almost like exploration. Nope. No such joy. Oh, these platforms, yeah, these are the ones. I remember these from the AVGN video. They disappear the second you jump on them. So you've just got to keep going. Oh, is that not? Oh, PS2 is awesome, Hellforge. PS2 has really stood the test of time as an excellent system overall. Whoops! Wait, they actually called the fix for the Famicom Final Fantasy VII Advent Children? Because that would be really funny to me. Man, I don't understand the, like, cult around Final Fantasy VII. Like, it's a fine game. It's a good RPG. I've just never been, like, you know, one of the people obsessed with it. I thought it was good. I think other Final Fantasy games are a lot better. But it always felt like, you know, everybody's like, oh, Final Fantasy VII, that's the one. And then Square just keeps making more and more Final Fantasy VII. I'm not there for it. That's not my scene. It's fine, but it came out so long ago. Just let it go. Oh, I've seen like compilation videos that just show every game. Exactly. Give me more Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest XI was so good. It was one of the best games of this, like, current console generation. And before that, I loved Dragon Quest IX on the DS. I thought that was phenomenal. Excellent game. Yeah, Final Fantasy VI mechanics. You know, maybe give Final Fantasy VI the, you know, remake treatment that, you know, you've given to all the other games. And I'm not talking about the pixel remasters, you know. I did see they made one very large change in the Final Fantasy VI pixel remaster, which was the famous, you know, opera scene. They added, you know, actual, like, 3D camera work and actual voice acting, actual singing. And they made the decision, I listened to it in every available language, they made the decision to have, you know, real singers for the, you know, Draco and, what's his name? You know, the two male leads. And to have Celeste's voice actress, singer, be an amateur, because the idea was, you know, she was stepping in to fill in for the role. But none of them are quite good enough. The other language ones, ooh, Willy the Weasel game. Oh, I see. This is weirdly difficult. There we go. Just gotta bop the woozle on the head here. I'm good at that. There we go. Yeah, and I mean, I understand their decision to go with, oh, I didn't get quite enough. But we're on World 2 now. You know, I understand their decision to go with, you know, amateur singers, because whoa! Okay. That was intense suddenly. Because it does fit thematically, but at the same time, it's like, I almost would expect better, you know? This is a tricky timing puzzle for a jump here. Oh, no, they only hurt when they're red? I think they only hurt when they're red. Oh, that would explain why they were called, like, red light, green light type enemies. Can I jump into that sand? Yes, I can. I just start sinking. Why are there automatic bullet sprinklers in a Looney Tunes game? I've got a lot of questions about these here contraptions. that it doesn't feel like I'm liable to get any answers to. They seem a bit extreme, if I'm being honest, class. Yeah, they're all from Acme. At least say they're from Acme, you know? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Panis. Like, you know, even in something like the, you know, I played on stream not too long ago. Yeah, the whole Tengai Makio series. You know, that's, Far East of Eden, right, Variable Goo? Because that has so many games that we never saw that you're right, are held in similar esteem. And they're just virtually unknown here. Is that time bomb down? Let's grab some more carrots. Arcade games are great. I would like to do more arcade streams, but because I do pretty much all my retro streams from real hardware, that would be really tricky. I haven't played any of them, but I've listened to the soundtrack of Tengai Makio Zero for Super Famicom so many times. That's got to be one of the best on the entire system. Oh, we're back to this bonus game, apparently. Hey, we got a we got a 1-up. This one is just... I don't think you can possibly select numbers on purpose, so I just kind of mash the button and see if I get anything. Maybe I'll try, like, a more measured rhythm. Okay, I got something. Oh, a 5-up. Good lord. What would happen if I got all 5? Maybe I should look into getting a repro cart for Zero. That would be interesting. I know isn't there also a Tengai Makio, like, FMV fighting game on the PCFX? Wow. That, oh, that's kind of a cool pause screen. Neat little 3D effect. This earthquake is gonna make me feel sick. That's a lot. Yeah, so I don't own any arcade cabinets, Hellforge. What I'm doing right now, I have my actual NES hooked up to my streaming setup. When I've done arcade streams in the past, the way I've done them is from, like, I have the Sega Astro City Mini arcade unit, so that I was able to, you know, easily plug in via HDMI. Oh my god, the slowdown. This is ridiculous. The PCFX is something that I would love to have, but it would not be ever worth getting. How do oh, I see. I think I just need to run straight down, not jump. Just run straight down. Oh, I'm actually losing health. That's a first. There we go. I don't know. I feel like it probably always was a Bugs Bunny game, just because at the time there was, you know, the big marketing push for, like, you know, Bugs Bunny 50th anniversary, you know, like a big... You know, the 90s saw a huge kind of Looney Tunes resurgence, especially with stuff like, you know, Tiny Toons being as popular as it was. I know I was obsessed with Tiny Toons as a kid. Actually, on Thursday, I don't like that Sphinx is moving. I don't like that I'm killing it. What's going... Oh, destructible. No, I'm playing from my actual NES Hellforge. So the kind of wavy line, like, moire effect that you see on the screen, that's not like a filter or anything applied to the picture. That's just the result of a low-quality component out signal, or composite out signal, and a cheap capture device. Oh god, I had blocked that from my mind, Variable Goo, with, like, why was that a thing? Like, and it was everywhere for a few years. Like, the, like, tough, cool, gangster Looney Tune merchandise. Yeah, if the NES had component... I know you can RGB mod an NES fairly easily. There's even a few HDMI mods to get digital out straight from the back of the system that I have not personally messed around with. Do we have... Yep, we have Tweety Bird just being a jerk again. I think that's supposed to be Tweety Bird. It's a little hard to tell. The sprites are very small in this game. Did I take them out yet? Come here. Let me hit you with my hammer. I would crush that bird. Yeah, the Super Nintendo's a lot easier. Actually, Thursday, class, I will be hooking up my Super Nintendo for the first time on stream. I don't know why it's taken me a year to do, but that'll be nice. Because I've played a lot of NES, I've played a lot of Sega Genesis on stream, I've even hooked up my N64 and my PlayStation 1 a few times, but I have not hooked up my Super Nintendo yet. Because on Thursday, we will be playing Buster Busts Loose Tiny Toon Adventures for Super Nintendo, which I never had. I just bought that recently because I have Tiny Toon Adventures on NES. Hello, Greelson. Good to see you. Because I have Tiny Toon Adventures on NES, and I really liked that game. I beat it on stream. And I have the Genesis, like Buster's Treasure Hunt or whatever it's called. The Genesis Tiny Toon Adventures game, but I never had the Super Nintendo one. So I went ahead and bought myself a copy, and I'm very excited to play that. Wasn't there a Tiny Toons game, like, on the Game Boy Advance that got cancelled or something, Variable Goo? I thought there was one that was, like, way later than you would expect. So the WB logo replaces the carrots when you pick up a carrot and then turn into a platform. So picking up the carrots actually has some strategic usefulness, which is kind of interesting. Oh, it wasn't cancelled and it's by Treasure. I have not played the GBA Tiny Toons game. I imagine that one is not easy to find. Thinking of games made by Treasure, one that would be good to stream, I think, would be the McDonald's game for Sega Genesis that they made. The Ronald McDonald in Treasure Land or whatever it was called. Oh, that's the one that I was thinking of, Variable Goo, the GameCube one. You know what? I do like that by landing on these platforms, the carrots rather, that you can make new platforms essentially. That's kind of neat. I also like the pseudo-destructible environment thing going on with like the sphinxes here. That's kind of nifty. Oh, I'm losing hearts. I gotta actually pay attention. Oh dear. Let's hope there's a heart nearby. Or just the end of the level. I never played the PS1. Oh! No boss fight this time. We just gotta smack through there. What a way to end the level. Just just hammer through. Just tunnel on through. We have got a lot of lives banked up, too. Oh, let's try... Ooh, we almost had 5 in a row. See if a more measured rhythm helps. Seems to. Let's try again. Okay, that seems to be a way. Oh, which one, Nanara? The Super Nintendo one? Because it looks gorgeous. I mean, it was Konami, you know, pretty much at the height of their development prowess. So I'm very excited to play that. I have resisted the temptation. I'll have to just make sure the cartridge works before stream, but I won't play it. You'll be getting a blind playthrough out of me. There we go. You know, this game's not so bad so far. It's not very good, but it's like, it's fine. You know, I'm not having a bad time playing it. I've certainly played far worse games on the NES. I've played far worse games on the NES on stream. Oh, the Tiny Toon Adventures game. That one was really good. Konami got really hard at the end, but up until that point had been pretty reasonable. This so far is just, it's a game. I'm having neither a good nor bad time. It seems totally adequate, which, I'm gonna be honest, is fine. You know, I don't need every game to be like, you know, 10 out of 10, best game I've ever played. I'm totally down with the game just being alright. Especially in a context like, you know, the NES. You know, because I'm just thinking, you know, you'd go to Rent-A-Games. Yeah. Look, they can only have so many colors per sprite, and they're not being clever enough to do, you know, like any fancy switching or anything like that. Just take that hit, I guess. There we go. Oh, do we have an actual boss fight? Yosemite Sam, come here. Try to shoot me, but I've got a big hammer. You've got a big iron, but I've got a big mallet. Yeah, but I don't think it was Nanara. I think it was purpose made as a Looney Tunes game. Also, I don't know why Hellforge, because I don't know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's. I have never played one. I am completely ignorant of FNAF, as it's called. Come on. Just bop the woozles here. Let's see, how many can I get? Yeah, Scorpion Vader vibes. Was I one short? Okay. Oh, no, I can... That's a game I've been meaning to revisit, is the Bandai Famicom Star Wars. Because that was a lot more fun than our US release one. It was a lot harder, but it had a more, you know, it has that one more try feeling to it. Okay. Wow, we have 25 lives now. This is a little ridiculous. And we're on to World 3. I like that the WB logo changes color. So do the enemies. Okay. Oh, the enemies go away when you pause. That frog looks exactly like the frogs from Adventure Island. I don't know if anybody else knows what I'm talking about. But I'm getting such strong... Oh, that rock took a weird path. These rocks are aggressive, man. They're after me. Oh, almost fell. Yeah. No, if this game were hard and played this kind of sloppily, you know, like the jerky frame rate and movement that, you know, I'm seeing in this game would be really, really annoying if the game was hard. But because the game so far has been a pretty light challenge, it's tolerable. Though know what's really strange. So when I bought this game, you know, as I do when I buy most NES games, I open them up and I take them apart and I clean them. Just because, you know, they're old. A lot of them are grimy, kind of dirty. You know, and they can all stand with a good cleaning. So I, you know, open up the cartridge, I take it apart, and I like to look at what chips are on the board for the game. This uses one of the, you know, advanced mapper chips. It uses an MMC3A chip, which was used in a lot of other, you know, Nintendo games that did, you know, fancy visual things like multi-directional scrolling and all that fancy stuff. So this has no excuse, really, to run as poorly as it does, because it has, you know, on the cartridge itself, some actual advanced technical capabilities that seem to have just not been utilized at all. Yeah, they spent extra money on this. Also, these fireballs were described in the manual as a comet. So if that's the case, it's a comet rocketing forward. Night, Hellforge, thank you for stopping by. Yeah, it's hard to believe that this has an MMC3 mapper chip in it. But it apparently does. And, boy, I wouldn't know. Based on playing it. I'm gonna guess, Panis, that nice little cutscene we saw at the start, because those were all pretty much full-screen illustrations. and didn't seem to use any repeating tiles. So I'm guessing they used most of the memory space on those illustrations. I don't know. I don't know why anything's happening in this game, frankly, Nanara. Really, that was the boss fight of this level. Yeah, exactly. Maybe they just wanted the extra space to be able to, yeah, they burned it all on the opening cutscene. You know, in that way, Variable Goo, we could just say that this game was very forward-thinking. You know, it was just predicting where the industry would go. You know, wasting all your money on cutscenes and not remembering to make your game fun. Though I wouldn't say that this is not fun. It's just, it's very aggressively okay. Which I know sounds a little strange. But it just is like, you know, it's a game. I wouldn't be upset if I had rented this for the weekend as a kid. You know, I could see myself... I mean, I'm enjoying it enough that, you know, I would keep playing this even if I wasn't streaming, because I'd want to see the end. Yeah, you can jump off the mallet guys, I think. And the weird shrimp-looking thing gives you an extra heart, so you can restore health from them. Man, this frame rate is pretty unacceptably bad, though. This is rough. Yeah, it doesn't have enough going for it that you would regret playing it. Also, if it wasn't for that platform, I would not have known that there was anything under me. And I still don't know if those are going to be death pits below me. Yeah, rental weekend game for sure. Yeah, that's the thing, Greelson. Like, it's... The best word for it would be, like, anodyne. Like, it's fine. It's inoffensive. Also, I don't know what this contraption is. It wasn't listed in the manual. Or if it was, I did not pay enough attention. There we go. I mean, it's not bad. No, I'm having a time playing it. It could be a lot worse, let me say. So, hold on one sec. I'm just gonna turn off my fan. It's starting to get cool out. One sec. Alright, there we go. Sorry about that. Oh, Alaric, it's a way better, or way worse game than Yonoid. Yonoid is a much better made game than this. This is pretty, you know, poorly made from just a technical standpoint. Also, is that a really tiny volcano, or is it shooting things into the foreground? I cannot tell. Also, the gameplay decision to make you unable to swing your hammer after you get hit sure is a decision. I can't say I'm a fan of it. But overall, you know, not... Oh, it was the 1 ton. Thank you, Kawaii Chibi Kaneko. This game's got some stuff going for it, I guess. With just the... Oh, am I doomed? Oh, no. Oh, it's on the same screen still, I see. I was worried for a second that I was going to fall to my death. Yeah, Yonoid is definitely better than this in pretty much every way, though, Alaric. Like, the graphics, the music, the play control... Pretty much everything about Yonoid is better. Which I know some people might be, like, horrified, like, how is Yonoid better? Yonoid is not actually a bad game. Yonoid has a lot of frustrating things about it, but it's not outright bad. Okay, that right there, just having platforms that break as you're approaching, that's annoying. The respawning enemies, though, mean I can just grab more health all the time. That's not so bad. This so far is just like... Know what this reminds me of, actually, class? If any of you were here when I played through Mickey Mouse Capade on stream for NES, that was the most aggressively average game I've ever played in my life. Where trying to talk about Mickey Mouse Capade in terms of good or bad did not matter because that game simply exists. It's a video game and you can play it, and that's all you can possibly say about it. It doesn't have enough qualities or personality to merit any discussion further than that. This is kind of giving me that kind of vibe where it's like, it's almost impossible to talk about this game in a meaningful way because so little is happening. There's Elmer Fudd shooting me with a shotgun. Just unabashedly with a shotgun. Or is that a net? That might be a net gun. I thought that was like the spread of a shotgun. Either way, let's do violence to him and get a big old carrot. One thing this game does have over Yonoid, however, is having actual boss fights. Boring as they may be, the fact that it has any is something that I appreciate. If it didn't have any boss fights and relied on, these kind of bonus stages at the end. You know what? That reminds me of what I hate about the Alex Kidd series. Besides, I think the Alex Kidd series being mid at best in terms of its actual platforming and level design, Alex Kidd had boss fights that were just rock, paper, scissors, and that sucks. That's not fun. I don't know what they were thinking with that. That's an actual bad decision. Whereas Yonoid having the pizza eating contests isn't very fun, but at least it's something. Not being able to tell which platforms are going to break is a bit of a dick move on the game's part. Because it would be, if there was some kind of visual indicator, that would be kind of nice. I'm now really curious what a speedrun of this game would look like. Like, is it a fast game? Is it a slow game? Is there... I don't think there's any RNG to deal with. Why would that platform dip itself into lava? That's a question I have now. Give me a heart, please, Mr. Weird flying shrimp-looking thing. Oh. Yeah. It was like, we need our game to be a certain amount of length. Though one thing that happened a lot back in those days, even if they weren't trying to pad the game's length for like quarter-munching purposes, was that a lot of games, specifically when they would get American releases, got harder in like the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era when they got localized, because North America had a thriving video game rental market, whereas Japan did not. Japan didn't rent games in the same way that North America did. So a lot of times games would have, difficulty cranked up for the Western release so that players wouldn't be able to just rent it and beat it in a weekend, and it would require multiple rentals. So a lot of otherwise good, balanced games got kind of ruined in their North American release. Welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome on in, Atropa. What's up? What were you up to tonight? You were doing some gunsmithing, weren't you? But welcome on in, everybody. For anybody who doesn't know, my name is Professor Bloom. I am a teacher. I do lots of singing. I organize the VTuber choir, of which Atropa has been a part multiple times. And I play lots of retro video games on real hardware. And tonight I am playing the Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout on NES. You ate gunpowder. How was that? Don't light a match. Lead-eating mukbang. Good to see you, Vice, Attenborough, Gondola. How's everybody doing? How did, black powder, not modern smokeless? I suppose that's better? I will defer to your expertise. You made ammo. What caliber? That sounds very cool. I am gambling with carrots as Bugs Bunny currently. Who is on his way to his 50th birthday party. If you think about the game in different terms, I'm Bugs Bunny. I've just turned 50. My friends hate me, and here I am gambling away carrots Salty, as usual, you've done this before. How much black powder would you estimate you've eaten in your life, Atropa? Carrot, gotcha. But yeah, thank you for the raid. This game is aggressively average, is I think the best way to put it. It exists. It's a game. 45 long cult. You know, I don't think this game quite merits the evisceration the angry video game nerd gave it all those years ago. But it's also not particularly good. It's a game. You know, it's one of those ones where it's not that much you can really say about it. Oh, okay. 2 or 3 drams total. How many rounds worth is that? Oh, it's a far worse game than Yo-Noid Gondola. Yo-Noid, you're the second person to ask that. Favorite episode of AVGN? That's really hard. I love the Castlevania episode. I also have a strong... I mean, I love this episode. Just with, like, the fist fight with Bugs Bunny is a particular highlight for me. I think the last episode of AVGN I really loved was probably the Star Wars episode, just because I could relate so strongly to a lot of it, having also had those games growing up. Yeah. 1 12-gauge shot's worth. Favorite episode of AVGN is a really hard question. Whoops. Is this the first time I've died? This might be the first death I've taken. What was I thinking? Second. Okay. Yeah, I've not died many times so far in this stream. I still watch new AVGN episodes when he puts them out, and they're not bad. They're just, you know what they're gonna be. I think he should have retired the character back when he kind of ran out of games that he played as a kid to talk about, because hearing, his take on newer games or games he hadn't played rarely does it for me. And I know that's a little unfair to him. So this earthquake effect is nauseating. And it just keeps going, doesn't it? I know that's not super fair to him. Actually, no, that's not entirely true. My favorite recent-ish episode, meaning like the last couple years or so, would be when he finally did a look at, Power Rangers and all the games. And it's amazing to me that he somehow never got into Power Rangers. Like at the time, he thought, oh, I'm too cool for this now. Oh, Seaman. The advertisements for Seaman Attenborough back in the day in gaming magazines were so wild. There was one just like of a guy, his legs dangling out of bed with a huge fish tail dangling out of bed, implying that this man just fucked a human-sized fish. And that's how Seaman came about. Just absolutely crazy advertisements like that. There we go. Oh. That didn't work at all. Let me see if I can find that ad. Hold on. Give me a sec. Because, boy, it's funny. Let me see. Magazine ads back then were absolutely nuts. Here it is. I'm just gonna drop a link to the image. Here you go. And it just says over and over, I will not mate outside my species. I will not mate outside my species. I will not mate outside my species. It's great. Don't you miss old gaming magazines for that kind of quality content that you can't get anywhere else? You know, you just don't get that kind of high quality games journalism anymore. Thank you, DJ Waffle Fries. Much appreciated. Oh, I've fallen into some lava, apparently. I'd like to hit this enemy, please. There we go. Boy, this screen shaking is something. I have so many questions for Sega in the you know, 90s and 2000s. Mostly, hey guys, why? you didn't think this one through. So I am at a bit of a loss for where to go. Do I need to go downward, or is that a death pit? I think this is where I entered the level, isn't it? Huh. Might be a little lost. Oh no, there were still tons of hacks back then too, Vice. It's, Oh yeah, I want to know why did Nintendo insist that Kirby has to be pissed off in North America? Why has Kirby got to be so angry? Why can't I have my happy, friend-shaped pink blob? You know, why has Kirby got to be all dramatic and edgy like that? Let me have my friendly, happy game, damn it. That's the whole appeal of Kirby, is that he's not, you know, crazy. I can't tell if I can go down from here. I don't think I can. Yeah. Yeah, he's in North America. Of course he's angry. We did get the Happy Kirby anime. Yeah. That's because Kirby is like a galactic level threat. I love how Kirby games start with, like, you know, happy-go-lucky frolic through Dreamland, and then turn into, like, let's end this, like, nightmare creature from a galaxy beyond our comprehension. Kirby games escalate so much. And it's honestly, it's the best. I need to play the new Kirby game still, but it looks to continue that tradition. Okay, I don't think there's anything here other than those carrots. Did I run into a level that actually has thought put into it, and I need to not just run in one direction to see the end of it? Seems unlikely, but we'll see. Whoops, clicked the wrong thing. There we go. I've got to think what the last, like, good game... So I don't have cable. I don't see many advertisements. And on the internet, I see virtually no advertisements. So I've got to wonder, like, what was the last good video game ad I remember seeing? Thing is, most of the time, I don't need ads for games to know that they're coming out or anything like that. Because I've got a pretty good handle on, you know, like, what kind of games I like and what kind of games I want to play. Oh, yeah. Nintendo went, like, a little nuts back then. Like, when they were promoting Conker's Bad Fur Day, like, they hired strippers to, like, promote that game. Okay, that will kill me there. They really went all out with Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's still funny to me that the, you know, Xbox version of Conker, Live and Reloaded, is censored, whereas the N64 one is not. You know? That the N64 got the raunchier version of that game. It was promoted in Playboy. And for their, like, press events, they hired strippers, if I'm remembering right. Because I remember reading about it in I think it was in Game Informer, back in the day, saying, you know, like, Nintendo's really trying to capture the adult audience with this game. Oh, let me go take a look. Oh yeah, the multiplayer in Conker. So good. So I actually don't like a lot of Rare's N64 games. Like, I am a Donkey Kong 64 anti. I will complain about that game all day long. Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie never really did it for me. They were just fine. You know, they never They never caught my attention that much. They were, you know, sure, they were prettier than Mario 64, but they didn't have the same level of intricacy in the platforming. They had more stuff to collect, but that's never what I'm interested in a, oh yeah, I see the red rocks. But I was never interested in just collecting stuff. I like the platforming side. Yeah, but for Rare's N64 games, not counting the shooters, I loved Jet Force Gemini, and I loved, oh, I'm stunned, so I can't hit the, there we go. Thank you, Kawaii Chibi Kaneko, this is definitely the way forward. Yeah, exactly, Conker had stuff like that, plus genuinely fun multiplayer modes. Thank you, Nanara. My fellow DK rap anti. Oh, this is way better than Bubsy Jones. Bubsy is terrible. This is just... The only thing I can say about this is that it's a video game. You know, there's not much to talk about with this one. Except for this really bad... Actually, no, the most remarkable thing about this game is that when I opened up the cartridge... Yep, they did DJ Waffle Fries, and Nintendo World Championship carts are some of the most sought-after collectibles. No, it's not the worst, but it's the one I hate the most. How's that, Jones? Okay, I think it's going to make me platform through the, whoops. Through the earthquake. Yeah, this as a game, though, is just... Like I was saying, the most interesting thing about it was that when I opened up the cartridge to clean it, seeing that it uses an MMC3A mapper chip and somehow still performs this badly. Oh, but the soundtrack of Sonic Chronicles is funny. Especially the reason that it's like that. Which is basically, you know, as things were falling through with BioWare getting sold to EA, they just grabbed, like, MIDIs from a Sonic fan site and slapped them into the game. They didn't even compose original stuff, or they had some original music, and then it all got, you know, messed up somehow. So they just slapped some MIDIs in there. It's extremely funny. Yep, they grabbed MIDIs and made them worse. As a game, Sonic Chronicles isn't the worst Sonic game. It's kind of boring, but that's... boring is not the worst sin a Sonic game has committed. Oh, it's extremely funny. Alright, I need to go down there now. These frogs are annoying because they take multiple hits to die. But at least there's one of those weird sun shrimp things. So I have not played all of Sonic 06. I mean, I had fun watching you and Arthur play 06, Jones. Mostly because you were playing it and I wasn't. And does Arthur have to get noited now? Is that his punishment? Really, that's not a punishment, that's a reward. That's getting to play a good game after playing a bad game. Let's collect more health. I think so far the worst thing about this game is not being able to swing your hammer for a couple seconds after you get hit. That's the most annoying thing about the game so far, and when that's the worst thing about your game, that's not so bad. And there was an actual... Oh, that would be too cruel. Whoever invented WebP, or however people are even saying it, I hope they stub their toe every single day for the rest of their life. It's awful. We didn't need another competing file format. It's the same problem that's happened a million other times in other file formats and other forms of media and everything. We never need a new standard. That's never the point. It's like please, I just want to save this image. I don't want to have to convert from one thing to another. But I don't care. If I cared about efficiency, here's where I put on the Hank Hill hat, like, do I look like I know what a JPEG is? Yeah, exactly. Why is Sylvester on a skateboard? Yeah, I don't understand the actual use case for WebP at all. Why is Sylvester on a skateboard? Is it just because it was 1990 and that's radical? Like... Oh, why is there now Big Sylvester? What's going on here? Give me my big carrot. Thank you. Yeah, Hanabi, it's like Webms at least have a purpose. You know, Webms are genuinely better. And for the most part, I've seen them pretty much supplant GIFs entirely. Oh, it was Junior. Also, we were talking about this earlier. Does anybody else remember the, like, gangster Looney Tunes trend in the 90s? That was weird, right? Also, I'm glad... Here's one commonality this and Yonoid have, though, is that it does have a Bop the Woozle minigame. Yeah, it's the HD DVD. I would go further and say it's like the... I'm trying to remember what it was. Tecmone did a video about it. It was a format that lost the HD video race to HD DVD. It was the third horse in the two-horse race that wasn't close. I think it was called, like, HDV or VDM or something. No, VHD was, like, the second place in the Laserdisc CED, you know, video format war of the 80s. Whoa! Yeah, lots of gangsta Looney Tunes airbrush. Yeah, gotta use the Woozle paste on stream. Yeah, I love those videos because it's like, you forget what a Wild West it was for, you know, media types for such a long time. If anyone would know, it would be you, Atropa. Oh, let's see. Cream, you want a Shakespearean insult? That's funny, Nanara. Let's see. Cream, you are a dankish flapped-mouthed bum Bailey, a beastly frost-spirited bloodsucker. I've just gotta wonder, like, who were the Gangsta Looney Tunes for? Does this really just bring me from there to there? What was the purpose of that? Was it just to grab a carrot? A singular carrot? Also, I'm not really feeling like any synergy between the music and the stages in this game at all. Like, no relation. Like, this doesn't feel like cave music. This feels more like, you know, what should have been the desert level music or something. And there's just a can of oil. I hope nobody is photosensitive. Yeah, I'm at the boardwalk. I have exactly $16.73 left in my pocket, and I need a souvenir. Hopefully we get the birthday music when we actually get to the party. Do tell, what is Captain Comic Jones? Yeah, how do you do, fellow kids? I remember kids wearing them, and they were always like the kids who wanted really, really badly to be cool and didn't realize that by wanting to be cool, you will never, ever be cool. No one has ever been cool because they wanted to be cool. That's not how being cool works. And if you don't understand that, then you're absolutely never going to be cool. Oh, I don't want to imagine that, Jones. That sounds awful. Like, that sounds unplayable. I'm sorry, Hardcore Hunter. I'm sorry. that we've just murdered you live on stream. It's not great, Hanabi, but it's not, you know, maybe Bubsy unlocked something in me where I can no longer feel that bad anymore. Hello, customer care skeleton. I don't think anything can hurt me again after Bubsy. I think I've reached a new level of tranquility and peace within myself. Oh, you made it extra cool. Parents just don't understand. Now that's like the, you know, like the Big Dogs t-shirts. Does anyone remember those? Like, let the big dogs play, or something. Yeah, it's the American equivalent of Chunibyo, of 8th grader syndrome. Oh, I love and hate that, Hanabi. Like, you're right. And I can't say you're not. I wish you weren't, but you are right. Alright, let's see if we can make this jump that would be easy in pretty much any other game. Oh, thank you for the stretch. Oh, I needed that. There we go. Piece of cake. Let's see. These waterfalls are really annoying. Trying to think, what was like... Oh, know what cringy fashion that I desperately want to come back, and I'm not kidding? Bring back Jinko jeans. I want my Jinkos back. I want my ridiculous pockets. I need them. Bring them back. Jinkos and soap shoes. That's what we need. That's what this world needs right now. Oh, okay. I don't understand why that just happened, but I'll take the free health. They sure do, Hanabi. I still see them from place to place. Also, what a pitiful excuse for a boss fight that is. Hiking boots with your Jinko flares. Solid, solid. Embracing your preppy roots. See, I've realized that I just... I have achieved, like, peak dad outfit sometimes, where I'll realize, you know, like, I just went for a walk, you know, before stream, and I'm wearing shorts that are, you know, not like, you know, not cargo shorts, not gym shorts, just shorts, you know, above the knee. I've got black socks on, I'm wearing New Balances, and I'm wearing a polo shirt. And it's like, oh, I'm a lost cause, aren't I? It's comfy, I don't care. Oh, that's a ghost, apparently. There's just ghosts in this game now. Isn't this exactly the same screen as last time? Like, the exact same layout. Okay, now it's a little different, at least. Okay, I cannot hurt the ghost. Understandable. I think I just need to boost myself up here. There we go. Easy. Piece of cake. Yeah, I don't think I own any sleeveless shirts, Hardcore Hunter. That's not something I was ever into. T-shirts always just worked fine for me. Oh, Gondola, do you know the worst part is that regardless of, you know, I tuck my shirt in. I can't not. Can we walk on this water? Yeah, you know, it makes sense that I can't hurt ghosts with a hammer. I would be more concerned if I could hurt ghosts with a hammer. That wouldn't make very much sense, even in this game, which makes very little sense overall. Look, I don't like shirts flapping around, so I tucked my shirt in. I know what it is, Jones. I just choose to disregard it. No, I look like a totally normal person. Well, that would have been nasty. That tried to drop me all the way into a death pit. Very sneaky game. Yeah, it's just better, foes. It's just better. Tucking your shirt in is the way to go. It's more comfortable. People, I need to make one of those, you know, like... All you just did, Jones, is describe Weird Al's outfit in the music video for the song Tacky. Which is a look and a half, so... Yeah, tucking in an undershirt, I would argue, is practically essential. What's up with this room? Why is it like this? Why is it shifting? This was something I was actually talking about with my brother the other day, Atropa. You might be able to provide some insight. When did people stop wearing hats? Like men specifically, when did men stop wearing hats as part of their, you know, daily going outside outfit? The best answer I could come across was when JFK, yeah, he didn't wear a hat at his inaugural address, but I think the trend had already been going on for a while with, you know, essentially the advent of closed carriages, like cars and stuff, where you no longer actually needed a head covering to go out and about your day. I think JFK was like the nail in the coffin. But I think a lot of our manners are still tied to hats. You know, like nodding upward to somebody you see that you know, or nodding downward on the street to somebody you don't know. Oh, Hardcore Hunter, you were rocking the, like, the Macho Man. The Macho Man style. That's a look. All right, where are we going now? This cave sucks. This is where the game is not getting hard, but just getting annoying. Like, I keep... Yeah. Oh. No, that's pretty funny. Oh, I shouldn't be laughing that much, but that is funny. You know, I think if he had the choice, next time he would choose the hard top. Why do these ghosts look like this? Like, these are not Looney Tunes-esque ghosts. These just look like a dude. Yeah, maybe a hat, too. Yeah, we can laugh at JFK jokes. He sure can't. That's too dark. But... come on. Wait, is this where I just went? Or does it all just look the same? How'd they have 256k with this game and manage to do absolutely nothing of interest with it? That's like how, how Action 52 had 4 512k ROMs and did not need all of that space by any means. But I'm impressed with how much space this game seems able to waste relative to its visual quality and gameplay variety. There's not a lot going on here. Also, I can't tell if I've just gone back to the start of the level or not, because it all looks the same. Nope, apparently not. Oh, okay. That's the end of the level. That's extreme. That sounds like... Was that a Cybershell video? By any chance, Hanabi? Because that sounds like him. Oh, I can jump on the Rabbit Season sign. There we go. Cybershell's videos are great. Very, very entertaining. when he decides to upload. It's been a long time. Wait, what do you mean no bonus? I saw a 3 in a row. Does the 3 in a row only count with a star? I don't... Not that I really need extra lives right now, but... Yeah. That would be clever, Kawaii Chibi Kaneko. That would be a good use of the Looney Tunes source material. So that's beyond the purview of this game. Doing something clever and original. You know, while this might not be AVGN rage-worthy, this definitely is pretty bad. Or at the very least, you know, if you rented this for a weekend, you'd probably play it, beat it, and just move on. Also, I just went straight through that level with no regard for if I knew what was coming or not. I feel like this is the kind of bad game. Aww. That's a little sad. There are a lot of rabbits in my front garden. There's like a whole family. And, my cat looks at them through the window with such murder in his eyes. I mean, it's... Oh, I should have jumped. It's probably not still good to eat. Well, how badly damaged was it? Or is that just a case of you snooze, you lose? Or something got to it before you did? Pancake. Okay, so not really usable condition. Oh yeah, well the reason that, you know, for Gen 2 Pokemon, that they were able to even get all of Kanto back in there was Satoru Iwata basically stepped in and fixed Game Freak's terrible code. It's been a long time since I've had fresh rabbit. Or any rabbit. Not trying to imply that I eat not fresh rabbit. Iwata was a complete wizard. And also just a great leader. You know, I have the book of his interviews that got translated not too long ago. And it's really eye-opening. When he took over as president of HAL, the company was in terrible financial shape. And he essentially personally took on the debt of the company. And his reasoning was along the lines of, you know, I can't ask people to work for me if I am not personally invested in making this company successful. You know, he wasn't willing to let other people bear the risk. And he would also do one-on-one sit-down interviews with every single member of staff. You know, he didn't care that it would take forever. He would do that, you know, every couple years or so to be like, how are things going? I need to know, you know, what can we do better for you, you know, the employee, to make this a place that you want to work. That's why HAL Laboratory made a lot of really good games. He, you know, led that culture. And he would also just get in the trenches and program. That's what he really loved more than anything. I think he said the last time he did any actual coding on a game was on Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube. They were going to miss the launch window, essentially. So Iwata, who I think at the time was, you know, just about to be promoted to, you know, CEO of all of Nintendo, got in there, rolled up his sleeves, and got to work. So he is partially responsible for Melee, which is kind of incredible. The Pokemon games are extra weird and frustrating to think about, Jones, because... Oh, I thought I was on the edge of the platform. Because the Game Boy could do some incredible optimization. Like, the Game Boy has a lot of really, really, like, powerful features that can be taken advantage of by good programmers. Game Freak are just really bad at making video games, like, on a technical level. They're just incompetent, and they have been for the longest time. Like, their best made game, from a technical standpoint, is probably something like, you know, Pulseman on the Sega Genesis, Like, it's ridiculous how just actually bad they are at the nuts and bolts of making games. Which you would think, you know, at this point that, you know, you would think they would have gotten a little better by now. But they have not. I'm trying to remember what it was. There was another Genesis game that stayed in Japan, made by Game Freak, that Pulseman ran on the same engine, and I don't remember what it was called, but it's super colorful. I think it was an anime licensed title, but it looks super fun. Huh. I mean, that's interesting, but it seems like a really inefficient way to do that. Because I feel like, I know the Game Boy has a lot of, like, mid-scanline interrupt features that can be utilized, that should, in theory, be able to do things like that. You know, if people could make parallax scrolling happen on the Game Boy with interrupts like that, then you can do pretty much anything. Oh, give me a heart, please. There we go. Oh, barely got that. Huh, I did not know that, Hazmat. Yes, magical Taruruto. I want to play that, Hanabi, because it looks super colorful. Also, apologies, I took a sip of my water and one of the ice cubes went in my mouth, so have an ice crunch ASMR. Oh, come on, let me get past this waterfall, please. There we go. How much longer is this level? Come on. Getting ridiculous. There we go. The game could feel my, Oh, got Pepe Le Pew here, who, shooting fart clouds at me. That's lovely. Wonderful. Okay, gotta hit him 2 more times, I guess. Rule of 3 and all that. Nope. Yeah. Great games only, Vapor Skull. Got him, just barely. Oh, it's so much better than Bubsy. So much better than Bubsy. Bubsy 1 has got to be one of the most frustrating games I've ever played in my life. Like, it's almost impossible to describe the momentum in that game, because it will keep you moving even when you hit the opposite direction on the controller. It's absolutely insane. The Bubsy 1 is a game made by bad people for bad people. It's unbelievable. Also, this is difficult, but we've got to get that woozle paste made. Yeah. Hanabi, I'm so sad that I didn't get to watch Woozle play Bubsy live. Oh, I've still got enough carrots for this, apparently. I was not paying attention. So, I did buy a copy of Bubsy 2. I can't make any excuses for myself, but I will play it at some point. When my Malort comes in, that's when I'll play Bubsy 2, because I ordered more Malort as well. And what's a better combination than Malort and Bubsy 2? I can't think of one. Wait, I think I can probably take advantage of that little guy to get up onto that tree. I can't tell. Oh, that's a frog. Okay, maybe what they used up a lot of their space on was trying to make these fancy animated background tiles to make the trees, you know, shake in the breeze. But man, it looks like shit. They did a bad job. This was developed by Kemco and Seika, I believe. We're not incompetent developers by any means, but I'm wondering, were they just like on a real time crunch or something making this? Because, yeah, this ain't no Willow. I can't get over how good Willow is versus how cheap it remains today. Like, if you ever want to just... Oh! Okay. Yeah. They wish they were even in the same, like, county as Willow. Because this is, I'm just amazed at how good Willow is and how little people talk about it when they talk about NES action RPGs. Because it just doesn't come up. It's not part of the conversation. And that's a shame, because it's really, really fun. It was a really good time. I have played Legacy of the Wizard. I have not beaten it, because it's very cryptic. I would need to, really, you know, follow a guide if I wanted to beat that. Yeah, I mean, there's even far worse licensed games than this. You know, I could be playing, like, Die Hard, or, you know, like, Waterworld on the Super Nintendo. Waterworld on the Super Nintendo at least has a 10 out of 10 soundtrack, but it doesn't save the rest of the game. Legacy of the Wizard, though, is one of those games that was super ambitious, so it's like, I can forgive a lot of its, you know, transgressions, because it was at least trying really hard to be original and interesting. I think I can just... Okay, yeah, I can keep in stasis here. There we go. Now, see, that was a tricky little platforming challenge that was actually pretty fun. Give me more of that game, where I have to actually, you know, do something. Instead of just whatever the rest of this is. Also, these clock enemies are very annoying. I mean, I could say that of virtually every enemy in this game, but... There were actually quite a lot of good licensed games in the NES and Super Nintendo and Genesis era. They just got overshadowed by junk. You know, like, all the games that were published by LJN. You know, that's what people think of when they think of NES licensed games. You know, like X-Men and all that other extremely low-quality stuff. It has been ages since I played Pokemon Gen 2. The last anything I did with Gen 2 was the remakes on the DS. Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Those were very fun. Those were like, oh yeah, Pokemon can be good. Oh yeah, H-Vitzer Zero. Oh wow, that was embarrassingly simple there. It's like, I can see what they were going for with Bubsy, and they just did not hit the mark. They just got it wrong. Because they had no concept of level design. Bubsy from the ground up is just a marketing it's a marketing venture. It was, hey, we here at Accolade need a, you know, highly marketable character. And that's it. That's all it was. They just needed that, you know, mascot to throw a ton of money at. The actual game itself didn't matter that much if they could advertise it enough. And unfortunately, they did advertise it enough. It sold really well. It sold well enough. There are 6 Bubsy games. And I think the most offensive thing about that is that 2 of them have come out in the last 5 years, and those 2 actually look okay. Like, one of them is made by the guys who do, like, the Bit Trip Runner games, and those are really fun. Those are good games. So it's like, how did we end up in this timeline where there are 6 Bubsy games, and some of them are actually made by good, competent developers? Like, what went wrong that this has happened to the world, that we're allowed to live in a world where Bubsy can have 5 sequels, and good games get none? Yeah, I was actually talking to Woozle about it, and he couldn't get over the fact that there's been 1 Billy Hatcher game and 5 or 6, yeah, it was a Monkey's Paw. It must have been Vestaphobe. But whose? Like, who made a wish that resulted in this? Yeah, this is my Joker arc. It's just Bubsy. You thought Noid would be what, you know, triggered my Joker arc, but no, it was Bubsy. Bubsy the Bobcat. Why, of all things? No, you get out of here, Jones. Get out of here with your bad opinion. the thing that kills me most... Yeah, Arrow the Acrobat is an aggressively average game, and even that's better than Bubsy. Arrow the Acrobat was a perfect example of, like, a game you would just rent because they didn't have the game you wanted at the rental shop. So that's one of the only things I actually like. Six! I was gonna say, that's one of the only things that I actually like about this game, Hanabi, is that they turn into platforms, because that actually feels kind of original and kind of neat. Okay, the tree stumps are the... Oh, we have a new enemy type. Does it do anything? Is it a platform? Is it an enemy? Okay, it hurts. It's an enemy. Oh, let's murder Elmer Fudd with a hammer. As one does. Oh, I got caught. He actually... Oh, I got caught again. Oh, we got him. They are a little unintuitive, but I'm getting used to it. It's actually... That's one of the only good ideas this game has, in my opinion. Yeah, oh, a lot less violent than the cartoon's Hollow Warrior. Still only 4 Noid games. That's the... Jones, we gotta work on making, like, the Yo-Noid Definitive Edition hack. Because with a few small tweaks, like NES Yo-Noid, and we've said it before, would genuinely be like a 9 out of 10 classic. Even just removing the, you know, pizza duels would be a pretty good start. And then maybe just changing level order around a bit. That's it. I need to learn how to ROM hack so that I can make my ideal version of Yo-Noid. Ooh, so I love Simon's Quest. Like, I like Castlevania 2 a lot. And I don't think it's nearly as bad as people say it is. You know, it's obviously flawed, but for the time, there was practically nothing like it. It was inventing a new genre. Oh! Oh! We barely made it. Oh, that was close. Can I get up there, or am I just gonna jump on the, Oh, I'm just gonna... Oh, there's a gap in the spikes. Got it. So these frogs suck just because they take multiple hits to kill. I'd rather just jump on them. Since you can use a lot of enemies as platforms, it feels like, ah, damn it. So I don't think I've seen the JonTron Dino City video. Did he, like, love it, hate it? The thing that I can't believe is how much more fun I had with Bubsy 3D than I did with Bubsy 1. I thought, surely, Bubsy 1 couldn't be worse than Bubsy 3D. Oh, it's the one where he sings Firework. Bubsy 3D at least was bad in interesting ways, for the most part. Which I realize is very faint praise, but... let's see... Whoops, almost jumped into the void. Maybe it's just the fairly low quality of my capture device, but these ropes are kind of hard to see. I hate that that's a sentence that I can parse, Jones. I hate that that's a sentence that can contain meaning. That's awful. Okay, let's see. What's the timing for this? Nope, that's not it. No, you get out of here with your... I don't want to know how Bubsy fits into the Souls timeline. I refuse to accept that thought. Wait, Dino City's based on a movie? I genuinely don't remember. Ooh, here's a question, class. If you could go back and make a, licensed game from the, NES to... Oh god, don't remind me, Hanabi. That did lasting, permanent psychic damage to me. Nope. Not gonna make it. What was I just thinking? Oh yeah, if you could go back in time and commission a licensed game, 8 or 16-bit era, for any media property you like from the time, what would you do, and what kind of game would it be? It's in the Bloodborne timeline. Adventures in Dinosaur City. Interesting. But yeah, if you could go back and have, a game based on any property that you like, what would it be and why? Oh, we barely made that jump. Now keep in mind, the game probably won't be good. That's not the point. The point is that you're getting a game based on a media property. Alright, that's probably a... Nope, that's one of the platforms that for whatever reason just brings you to another level magically. Very cool. Jump off that guy. Whoop! Okay, that one breaks. TMNT4 Golden Girls. I could deal with a annoyed cartoon. I think the problem with a Noid cartoon would be that it would have been too expensive to produce, because they'd want to keep the claymation style intact. But that's expensive. That's why there's only 4 Wallace and Gromit films, and they took, or 4 shorts in the feature, and that was over the course of, 20 plus years. Though claymation can be done digitally now. Wasn't there a Samurai Jack game on GameCube? I think there was. I don't know if it was, as good as something like Shinobi, but... There have been a few interesting Alice in Wonderland games, 8 Lives. I've always been meaning to check out the, DS one. That was like a JRPG, apparently. And looked quite good. Really great graphics for the DS. But I never played it. Trying to think what else. Golden Girls, I would love to see. Just to see, like, how do you make a game out of Golden Girls? Because I'm sure you can. You can make a game out of anything, especially in the 8-bit, 16-bit days, where it didn't matter if the game you were making really had anything to do with the, license. As long as you just slap the name on it, it'll sell enough copies to make your money back. Ideally. I would love a health power-up right now. Can't believe I'm actually starting to need health power-ups at this point in the game. Goes to show... See, this is when there's actually, some real platforming to do. I'm trying to think, the earliest licensed game based on a music property I can think of was there was an arcade game for the band's Journey that I think just had, like, a record player in the cabinet and could play some Journey songs. Golden Girls, but it's just Contra. I'm down. That sounds great. Oh, that's the end of the level, apparently. I feel like a claymation rig would take a ton of processing power. But I don't know. Yeah, Blanchemains, where are we at? Give me... Well, I've used that, that AI image generating thing to see, like, silly stuff like Columbo for the N64. I mean, some had properties, like Biker Mice from Mars had that cool racing game on the Super Nintendo. SWAT Cats had the very, average platformer on the Super Nintendo. What else? It would be fun to go for older properties that, Oh, there was a Mighty Max game on Genesis. I have a whole story with that one, Jones, where that was when I first realized that video games could suck, that video games could be bad. Because, you know, prior to that point, it's like, it's a video game, of course it's good. And, you know, I'd go to the local Funko-Land and ask if they had a copy. And they didn't, they never did for years and years and years. Maybe not that long, but they just never had a copy. Until finally they did have a copy. And, you know, they let you try out the game at Funko-Land back then to see, you know, mostly to show that it worked. But, you know, they would be nice to kids and let you try it out to see how it was. And that was the first time I realized that, oh, video games can be bad. They can suck. And, you know, my mom asked, you know, okay, so would you like to buy the game? And I just kind of sheepishly was like, no, it's not good. It's like, you know, I can only imagine what was going through her head. You know, it's like, you've been asking for this game for months. They finally have it, and now you don't want it. It's like, yes, that's correct. But, you know, that's how it goes. I later found out, years later, that a friend of mine ended up being the one who bought that game, that exact copy. Hey, Foghorn Leghorn, you suck. You're stuck down there. I'm just gonna beat up this guy. Yeah. How do you feel about that? Got him. Didn't stand a chance. I remember there being a lot of Ren and Stimpy games. I think there were 4 on Super Nintendo. Oh, Super Noah's Ark 3D. That's a legendary... It's just the Wolfenstein 3D engine cloned for biblical purposes. I sure did, Hardcore Hunter. That turned out to be the tech. Oh, the 3-in-1. I don't know that one then. Oh, we're on a good roll with Bop and Woozles here. We're in the rhythm. Oh, I lost it. The rhythm's gone. I never played any of those Wisdom Tree, like, biblical games. I've heard a few are okay. I don't know if that's true. Bible Adventures. I would love to get a copy of Super Noah's Ark 3D. Oh, thank you for an okay guy. Oh, I needed that. Appreciate it. Yeah, they could have used the Goofy Gophers, but they did not. Because this is not a very good game. It's not using the... You know, they've got the Looney Tunes license. They could have done so much more with it. Especially when you look at what, like, Konami was doing at the same time with the, you know, Tiny Toons license. It's like, this could have been so much better than it is. And we know what it could have been like, you know, if competent developers were doing it. And I don't even think Kemco and Seiko were, like, incompetent developers. It's just, why can't the game scroll smoothly? Like, that was figured out on the NES from day one. Like, quite literally, the NES has that as a built-in hardware feature. So why is this game so choppy? Just seems, like, kind of unacceptable, frankly. And it's like, I'm trying to put that aside when thinking about, you know, the overall quality of that. Yeah, it's like bad, and it's worse than just bad, it's mostly boring. And I would almost always rather a game be bad and interesting than even competent and boring. Whereas this is just like, it's got nothing going on. And the frame rate is really pretty unacceptable for an NES game. You know, virtually all games of this era ran at the full refresh rate of the TV, which is 60 Hz, 60 frames per second in NTSC regions. So why does this game run like garbage? Doesn't seem right, if you ask me. And I mean, it could be a lot worse. There's still way worse games on the NES than this. But when this is their idea of, like, a boss fight, come on! give me something more than that. I don't know how many worlds there are, though. Yeah, they probably had a steep deadline to work against, but it's like, you know you've got the anniversary coming up. If you've got the license for the game, you may as well. Yeah, right? We went... I mean, we took a dive way lower than 30 for a while, Hollow Warrior. Like, when we were starting, the dawn of 3D gaming, like late, 4th gen with Super Nintendo, Super FX chip stuff. And, systems coming out like the 3DO, the Atari Jaguar, the, yeah. A lot of N64 games were capped at 20. Hey, thank you, Nombrow. Let me take my hat off for you. Give me 1 sec. Whoop. Let me change. There we go. Yeah, deadlines are often the enemy. Oh, that's a lot better. Yeah, it might be that that's the case, Hanabi. I need to look into the development history of this game to see, like, why is it like this? Or was this just the game they set out to make and the game they ended up making is just pretty bad? Like, I can't even tell what that thing is supposed to be. I think it was Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are, capped at 20 frames per second. You've got Mario 64 was generally 30 frames per second. There's a ROM hack for Bible Adventures. That's very fun, and specifically the King James. That's really, really funny. Is this a switch? Can't tell what that's supposed to help with. Oh, I can run over them one way and not the other. I see, I see. Well, I need... So I would like that heart, please. Is that heart stuck in the level geometry and I can't pick it up? It sure is. That's a ROM hack for a very particular kind of player. There we go. Alright, let's try to get those guys to spawn again. There we go. Now we'll be full health in no time. Come on, come on. Oh god, not being able to swing your hammer, almost said swing your sword, not being able to swing your hammer when you get stunned even lightly is really annoying. Something tells me these spikes are instant kill. Mostly the size of them. That's what's got me worried there. Oh, they're not. So I can just disregard them. They just look scary. They don't do any more than any of the other spikes in the game. Well, at least this game is consistent. My expectations are low and I can keep them firmly in the basement. Oh, look, the game thought it had a trap. That's cute. All right, Elmer Fudd, do your worst. Shoot your nets at me. I've got a big old hammer for you. Which the collision on the hammer is also just like super weird and vague feeling, and just sends Elmer flying backwards, but you can't really see that you've hit him. I don't know, it's hard to describe, but we've killed him, so that's all that matters. How many times have we given Elmer Fudd a concussion in this game? Has anybody been counting? Yeah. I think 8 lives. I just hadn't realized, like, how simple the rest of the game really is. Yeah, not enough. Yeah, where's our grim, dark, Elmer Fudd first-person shooter where he says, it's Wabbit season. Give us that game. Whoever owns the Looney Tunes IP at this point. I don't actually know who does. Give us that. That'll be more fun than this. Or watch this game just get an HD remake and fix absolutely none of its problems. I still can't believe that Big Chungus is an officially recognized thing now. Like, I have trouble understanding that. Like, my brain short circuits when I think about that. You know, in another game with just better everything, this would be a pretty cool platforming layout. You know, like multiple conveyor belts over a spike trap going in opposite directions. Yeah, there's something there. Honestly, God bless him for it. The fact that I can see Ultra Instinct Shaggy in a video game punching somebody is incredible. That's one of those things where it's like, you know, maybe we'll be all right. I sent that guy flying. Holy shit. I don't know how that happened. Look at this very, very convincingly hidden spring trap. Right below the only spikes on the ceiling. It's like, surely this can't be related. Their idea of what constitutes a trap in this game is quite amusing. It's usually very, very obvious, to say the least. Yeah, like, people don't actually want to fix the flaws, just get the product out. I'm so glad that as a kid I never actually wanted to, like, be a game developer or anything like that, Hardcore Hunter. How did I fall through the floor? Is that just a case of premium quality coding right there? Or is there an actual trap? I think I just fell through the floor for no discernible reason. Yeah. Known shippable for describing bugs. Yeah, programming sounds like a bad time, just in general. Were the tiles actually different? Let's see if it happens again. Okay. Yep, I do see some slightly different looking tiles. Let's see. The thing is, though, the rest of it all looks so exactly the same. And again, we've got a real case of music mismatch here. Like, I don't even think the music in this game is that bad. I do have 57 lives, Hanabi. This has not been a particularly challenging game. And it throws extra lives at you like crazy. Yeah, that's true. You know, if the game was, you know, miserly with extra lives, then maybe it would actually be pretty challenging. You know, no, it's not that hard overall. This jump is a little tricky, just because the conveyor belts are going in opposite directions. And it's tricky to get over there. This game with 0 1-ups. Just the 3 lives you start with and nothing else. That would be challenging. I'm trying to think. There are games like that. Generally, they're, you know, meant to be like that. They're meant to be extreme challenge games. There we go. Don't step on the spring. Now we can just hop past the clock guys here. There we go. Now the rest of this should all be pretty simple. As long as I don't fall through a floor again. Which I don't think I will. Also not going to bother with the carrots too much. Because I don't actually need to. I would, however, like some health. So let's see if we can't find any of that. Any of those weird flying... I think they're supposed to be fireballs. I don't even remember what they were supposed to be from the manual. But they drop a heart every time. They look like little shrimp. That's what they look like to me. Okay, yep, there is a hole in the floor, apparently. That's a pretty rotten trick to pull on the player with no real precedent earlier in the game. Oh well. I'm sure we can get through it. Lord knows we've got enough lives. Yeah. No, this game's not very hard, Arthur. It's mostly just pretty bad. You know, I was wondering, was, you know... Oh, yeah. I can't stand Aaron from Game Grumps, because he talks about game design, and then you watch him play a game and he skips through every single possible thing that could have helped him understand something. So his opinions do not matter, in my opinion. They should not. No one should listen to him as a source on anything game related. Yeah, but Arthur, I wanted to play this game specifically to see, you know, is it as bad as the AVGN episode made it out to be? And I'm gonna say, kind of. You know, it's not as, yeah, he really does. This isn't as hard as he made it out to be. You know, it's actually fairly easy overall. I say as I've died several times on this level. It's mostly just that the, I like his animations, Trueno, when he still, you know, did those a million years ago. It's whenever he tries to give, like, you know, quote-unquote insights on game development that's like, nah, dude. That ain't it. Yeah. I think that's a good way to distinguish Hanabi. You know, Egoraptor and Aaron Hansen, the YouTuber, are not the same thing. You know, one was an animator that made things that made people, you know, happy. Oh, yeah. That was the moment for most people, Hardcore Hunter. Where it was like, oh, he skipped all of the text that would have answered his questions and is too stupid to actually use the game systems correctly. So it was like, okay, so why are people listening to this guy about anything? Oh, that doesn't surprise me. You know, I don't think I've heard of a single, like, you know, celebrity video game project like that went smoothly. I've not played the AVGN game because it didn't look particularly interesting to me, so I have no idea if that one is also like that. Oh no, he was right about the intro stage, Mega Man X. It's awesome. It does a great job teaching you the game. And then he has been wrong about pretty much every single other thing possible. There we go. Through that stage. Yeah, broken clocks are right. Yeah, funny man with bad opinions. There's a lot of those. Some of questionable funny. Yeah. Right, Spike? I would love Arthur to look into, like, behind the scenes and see what that, you know, whole business is like, because I'm sure it's terrible. You know, the part of the reason that I like AVGN's early videos in particular was because he was just a guy playing an exaggerated character, you know, voicing his frustrations with these old-ass video games. And that's really fun, you know, because that's something that, you know, particularly anybody who grew up in that era can relate to and really appreciate. Yeah, I still haven't gotten a 5 in a row. I would love to see how many lives that gives me. But something tells me I've got enough lives for the rest of the game. Yeah, if you manage to burn your bridges with everybody and not just like 1 or 2 people, chances are you were bad to work for. This game is just so awkward. Yeah, even in things where, you know, you've got like actual professional experience in fields of study, it's like there's always going to be somebody who knows more than you, you know? It's good to try to remember that. There we go. I just accidentally made the game look cool for a second. Making that jump. So in a different, better platformer, this part right here I think would be really cool, but in this one the frame rate drops to a crawl and it becomes unplayable. There we go. Yeah, it's the, you know, Dunning-Kruger effect, I think it's called. You know, the people with the least experience think they have the most expertise and knowledge. I think that's what it's called. There we go. Are these rooms all the same? Oh. So, Alistair, did you ever beat it? I'm curious, because this is my first time ever playing it. And I think I'm at the end now. Like, of the whole game. It has been certainly not as bad as, you know, AGVN made it out to be. But it's mostly just pretty boring. Yo, I wouldn't say it's very, like, particularly difficult. Why is Taz throwing footballs at me? Like, I don't associate Taz with football. Mount Stupid. I think I know the image. Oh, I got killed by a boss. I think that's the first time that's happened. That's exciting. Let's do it again. That's fine. We'll just run back to him. There we go. Yeah, no, I've got a ton of lives. Oh, that reminds me. I do have Tasmania on the Genesis, which I remember playing a lot, but it was not a very good game. It was a extremely average platformer with some fairly nice animation, if I remember right. Oh, you know, that sounds reasonable, 8 Lives. I don't want to give this game any credit for its use of the Looney Tunes license, because it's done a terrible job so far in being a good licensed game. So I've been over this a ton of times on stream. My criteria for a good licensed game are actually really low. They're really easy to meet. All you need to do is be an average game in terms of overall, you know, playability, fun factor, control, and use the license in a, you know, way that pays homage to the material correctly. You know, so something like Sunsoft, their Batman game on the NES, is a perfect example, because even if it wasn't a Batman game, it's an awesome game, super fun. You know, it would be a great game even without the license. That's a good idea, foes. It's a very much meet your heroes kind of thing, where you don't want to risk it. You don't need to get the confirmation that the game you used to enjoyed actually sucks. You know that there's a high chance it did. Yeah, Hanabi, exactly. It doesn't need to be a great fighting game, it just needs to be a fun game that capitalizes on its license well, and that's a perfect example. This is, you know, neither a very good platformer. You know, if this didn't have the Looney Tunes license, it would be a below-average NES platformer. And it does nothing with the Looney Tunes license to make it, you know, stand out as a particularly Looney Tunes-y game. On the other hand, something like Tiny Toon Adventures, also on the NES by Konami, is an awesome example of a good licensed game, because it's a great game, separate from its, you know, relation to the source material, but it also does a great job capturing the look and feel of Tiny Toons. And, you know, when you're a kid, that's all you really want. You want, you know, the thing that's like the thing you like. That's the whole point of a licensed video game. Alright, let's bat these footballs back. Yeah, they did, Alistair. Like, all of Capcom's Disney games... Oh, I guess I didn't swing in time. All of Capcom's Disney games on the NES are a great example of that. You know, they would be fun games even without the license, but, you know, to hear the DuckTales theme coming out of your NES, that's awesome. Yeah, I think I did, Hazmat. Yeah, I want to know... I would love to just have answers about why anything in this game is the way it is. You know, that's asking too much. Oh yeah, Capcom had, and Konami, had a long period of time where they were almost completely, like, invulnerable as game developers. Like, even their worst games were still a cut above everyone else's average for a long period of time. You know, like, Yo Noid is one of Capcom's, like, I'd say mid-tier NES games, and it's better than most other NES games. And I'm not just saying that because I've been Noid mind-broken. Yo Noid actually has great controls. Yeah, this does feel like it was a reskinned platformer, only I don't think it was, which is depressing. Because that means it has no excuse for being how it is. I do know there were cases where the opposite happened a few times, where a Western game, if not Western developed, but a Western property game, got reskinned into an anime licensed game. Like the Jetsons game on Super Nintendo got repurposed into an anime-based property. I don't remember which one. That's the one with like the weird vacuum you've got. That's actually a pretty good game. It's also stupidly expensive nowadays, which pisses me off. Okay, how many footballs do you take, Taz? Yeah, that means I should probably platform more carefully, but I'd rather just do the boss fight perfectly. Oh, we got him. Yeah, so Mario 2 actually got a substantial rework from where it was Doki Doki Panic. Like, there was a lot changed. Oh, hey, we beat it. Well, that's an abrupt ending. Finally, Bugs arrives at his party. He enters. He is greeted with thunderous cheers and applause from all his loving friends. To Bugs' surprise, he finds all of his Looney Tune pals there, who had just moments ago been playing some very funny tricks. Very funny tricks. Elmer Fudd was shooting me with a gun. Yeah, it just ends. There was no build-up. There was no, like, climax. The game's just over. At least the music's okay. Yeah, get pranked, bro. It's just a prank. Cat, what do you want? Want to look at the end of the video game, kitty? Come here. They all shout joyously, "Happy birthday, Bugs, and congratulations!" The funny shotgun trick, revenge for the time Bugs dressed as a woman and kissed him. Yeah, Taz just wanted to play catch and I hit him with a hammer. Yeah, Daffy's usually the one getting his bill blown off. Oh, that wasn't my wubba bullets. I can't do an Elmer Fudd. Well, that's the end. My buttons no longer mean anything. Yeah, I feel like So the basic concept here, where when you pick up the collectible that it becomes a platform, that could lead to some really creative level design in a better game. But this wasn't a better game. This was a pretty disappointing game. So my final reflections are, no, this is nowhere near as bad as, 2 hours cannot be a speedrun. So thinking of the AVGN episode, no, it's obviously not as bad as all that, but he made an entertaining video out of this game in a way that, the game itself isn't. This was a lot more fun than, or rather, the video is a lot more fun than the game. Could have been a lot worse, I will say. I think it's saving grace. 25 minutes, yeah. Saving grace for this is that it's really easy. That's it. I think anybody could probably sit down and beat this game in about the same amount of time I just did. Because it's not super hard. I don't know if you would. I don't see a point, to be honest. But yeah, I guess that'll be it for tonight. We can have a nice nice short relaxing stream. Tonight, or tomorrow, I will be playing an NES game from 2019. I'll be playing a game called Micro Mages, which is a modern release for NES, real cartridge, and that fits in the original 40 kilobyte ROM size limit for the NES. That I've played a little bit on stream just to show it off. That I'm going to try to do a full playthrough of tomorrow. Is a super fun game, supports upwards of 4-player co-op. Amazing especially considering that they... Yes, Vestaphobe, the video is going to be like how we fit an NES game in 40 kilobytes. Highly recommend watching it, because they go into all the optimization techniques that went into the making of this game. Super cool. Very worth watching video, and that video is actually what convinced me to buy the game. Because, one, the game looks very fun, but also seeing that, you know, level of creativity, it's like, I've gotta support this. But yeah, that's enough out of Bugs Bunny there. Then Wednesday night, I have a surprise to show off in my Sunlust stream that is hinted at on my schedule. Might be a little bit in silhouette there. So there's something exciting on Wednesday. Then Thursday, oh yeah, working within limitations gets some awesome results. Hold on, actually, before we call it a night, I'm gonna show one other silly little modern thing I have for NES. Give me one sec. Gotta grab the box off the shelf here. How many of you, class, played Golf Story, which was like a sports golf RPG on the Switch? Very fun, very silly, creative game. I also love video game golf games, full disclosure. I've got to put that out there. But within this game, Golf Story, there was a fake NES game called Golf, which is just, think like NES golf style game, but very, like, deliberately bad and primitive. When Limited Run Games put out their physical release of Golf Story, they did a physical release of Golf for the NES, which I happen to have here. Yeah, exactly, Spike. It's very much like that, only even more robust and funnier. So they came out with Golf, which just wait till you see this. How about a round of golf? There's also a fake manual inside the game that you play that's full of typos and other stuff like that. But you can see it's very much like, you know, the NES golf style game. Yeah, they made a whole ass NES game as a prank, basically. And it's incredibly basic. Not particularly nice to play. But I remember when I was playing this game on Switch, I got good enough at this that I was able to actually golf under par. Yeah, Camelot was really great. Yeah, par. Camelot was really great at, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm golfing. Ooh, can we try for the shortcut? Oh, nope, out of bounds. Oh no, a naked crab. Oh yeah, the manual describes, like, if you go out of bounds, you'll encounter these, you know, strange creatures, like the naked crab that I think the manual describes as a pervert, something like that. Okay, we're destroying, we're killing it right now. We're doing bad. It's very hard to time this right. So we're gonna do terribly now. I don't even know if they have like a mercy rule here. There we go. That's what I wanted. Try to read the line. There we go. +7. This isn't the run. This game's very unforgiving. Can we get it across the river? No, we cannot. Beware the lazy crocodile. But basically, yeah, they made a whole ass parody of an NES game as a joke. And it actually is a perfectly functional, you know, 8-bit golf game. There's way better 8-bit golf games out there. You know, don't make this the one you play if you've never played one before. Because obviously it's very, very primitive. But in kind of a charming way. Ooh, the best 8-bit golf game, Madrasity. NES Golf Tour Open on NES is really impressive. Hey, thank you, Calavera. Let me pop my hat back on. Give me a sec. Whoop. Oh. Let's pop this thing back on. There we go. But it is very funny to me that they essentially went out of their way to make a real NES game as a prank. You know, as just like, well, what if we just did this? wouldn't that be funny? And the answer is yes. Yes, it was quite funny. Doesn't play great. Actually, that's one thing I've been thinking about doing, class. Let me know if this is something you would be interested in. Is like a retrospective stream on old sports games. Like I would just choose a sport, basically. Grab as many games in that sport as I could for a given system, and just do like an overview of all the golf games on the NES or something like that. There we go. Yeah, there's a lot of great old baseball games. I also really... are there any GameSack viewers in class? Because I am so tempted to get a copy of... I think it was like Pebble Beach Links for Sega Saturn. Has a golfer, Craig Stadler, providing color commentary like the whole time, and it became a long on-running meme in GameSack that they just pop him up in the corner of unrelated games. I like golf games a lot. I am a golf enjoyer. I think golf video games are generally very fun to play. Let's see. Oh, that was bad. Too far. You want a Shakespearean insult? All right. HVitzer0, you are a bawdy-soused jackanapes. You are a loutish, bacon-fed bandog. Oh, that's too far. No, that wasn't. There we go. Bogey. Angry Birds. I mean, Angry Birds is fine. Kill a couple minutes. It's a game. I've played worse games than Angry Birds for sure. Oh, a little too short. Thing is, I will get hooked on golf games like this. Birdie, which they just call Bird. Also Golf. Oh, it actually has 9 holes now. I think, oh yeah, the 9th hole is exclusive to the cartridge version. Hyali? Is that the most dangerous game of all? Oh, man, I really threaded the needle. Beware the lazy crocodile. Whoops. I forgot it put me there. Yeah, I get hooked on golf games really easily for some reason. I just think they're neat. Cue the Marge Simpson image. Would you like me to praise you, Hardcore Hunter? End of play result, plus 16. And that's the whole thing of golf. But this would be fun to just throw in there as a little extra sometime, And it does have a 2-player versus mode. But I will leave that for another time. I just wanted to show that off since we finished bugs so quickly. Let's see. Hardcore Hunter, it's the end of the school year, and I've noticed all year you have been working really, really hard. And I'm proud of you. You showed a lot of improvement over the semester, and I think you should go into the summer with your head held high. Good job. There you go. All right. But class, I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern. We will be I'll be playing Micro Mages for the NES. Wednesday at 8, there's a special surprise, and I'll be playing more Sunlust for Doom 2. And then Thursday is the first time I hook up my Super Nintendo on stream. I will be playing Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Busts Loose, which I'm really excited to play. I have never played that before. I will be taking the weekend off. The school year is ending this week, so I am going up and camping by a lake and not thinking about anything for a few days. But I will be back the week after, and that's when I will be beginning to plan my 1-year anniversary is coming up on July 8th. So I'm going to be planning a 24-hour stream. So I'll be asking for ideas on what to do. I know I want to do, a lot of karaoke throughout that stream, but there's a lot more we can do. 24 hours is a long time. So I will hopefully see you then. Let us see who is online that we can go raid into here. Let's see who is on. Of course I'm going to spend it with you all, Madrasty. You're all the ones that make this happen. Let's see. Who is on? I don't see anybody playing any NES games. Well, Dot is on, but I've raided into Dot a lot lately. Who else? Ooh, I know one of the Sopranos in the VTuber choir that I run, Kiki Chizu, is online right now playing a game called The Quarry, which I guess is some kind of horror game. So, you know what? Why don't we go raid into Kiki Chizu? What would be a good raid message? Just retro raid or Bugs Bunny sucks raid? I don't know. Someone give me an idea. My creative powers have been sapped completely by Bugs Bunny. Ooh, what's up, Doc? Ooh, Wabbit season. Wabbit season, Wade. Yeah, just boo. Wabbit season or what's up, Doc? Anything like that would be good. All right, but thank you everybody for coming by, and I will see you next time. Until then, have a great night. Let us go see if Kiki is, as the stream title suggests, pissing herself in terror. And I hope you all have a great week. Though, no, I'll be streaming. I'll see you. Have a good night, everybody.
Have just been dicking around.
Dylan, you just, I don't know, figure out how to...
Bloom!
I was wondering, what is she?
Wabbit season? What were you playing that was Wabbit season? Wait, what the fuck? Welcome, wait.